So traditionally we know baklava as being a walnut and pastry syrup drenched dessert. Well, this apple version, which is otherwise known as an apple pie baklava, is sure to make your taste buds spin. So start off by making your syrup because you'll need this to completely cool before adding to your cooked dessert. So mix your sugar and water, bring that to a medium-high heat boil, and you're going to boil this for approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Because it's only a minimal amount of syrup that we're making, it doesn't need too much time, but you cannot take it off the heat until you see that all the sugar is completely dissolved. Now that you've left your syrup aside to cool, you can go ahead and prepare your fillings. So take all your apples, peel them, and then of course you're going to be grating them on the largest grater that you have. You can chop these up if you prefer, but I believe the texture is a lot nicer when you grate them. Once you're done, take all your grated apple and place it in a strainer over a large bowl, and you're going to need to squeeze out as much of the juice as you possibly can so that you leave only the dry apple left inside your strainer. Now take some butter onto a frying pan and you're going to be cooking up your apple for approximately 5 minutes before you complete your next step. Make sure you don't discard the juice that you've strained from the apple because you're going to be adding this later on to the syrup. So mix it up. Now be sure if you're cooking this on a high heat, which I've done in this case, that you are standing by it and mixing it non-stop, because a few seconds of leaving it alone, it will catch and burn. Obviously it's the sugar in the apple that will burn. So otherwise, if you're busy and you're doing other things, I recommend having it on a low to medium heat and then obviously going from there. Now after 5 minutes of cooking, you're going to go ahead and add some sugar, sprinkle that over the top and give it a good mix. Now the cooking time for your apples will be approximately 20 to 25 minutes all up. However, at this point I will go ahead and add the apple juice to my sugar syrup. Make sure that you strain it so you don't get any pieces in it, and you don't need to reheat this or boil it. It's perfectly fine as is. So it's only going to be sugar, water and the pure apple juice inside. So once your apples reach a caramel tone and they are of a dry consistency, you can transfer that into another bowl, add the cinnamon, give it a good mix, and your filling is ready to go. Now the final step in this prep is to take your melted butter, add the oil, and you're going to give this a good mix, and this mixture will be what you will use as a base in between each of your pastry layers. Now this recipe is pretty quick to make, so you don't really need to put anything over your filo pastry if you work really fast. However, if you are a bit slower and you don't want to rush yourself, then I recommend either putting a baking sheet or a cloth towel over it so that you don't actually dry out your pastry layers. But you're going to start by taking one pastry layer, brushing on some of your butter oil mixture, and you're going to do this for 4 layers and then add your filling as follows. Now before rolling over, I recommend folding over your edges, and this is just going to make sure that your rolls are a lot neater on the outside and you don't get the flaky, crumbly, sort of crusty bits on the outside of your rolls. It just means the pieces are going to be more uniform. Now you're going to tightly roll this up together, first roll, to make sure that obviously your apple's all secure, and you're going to just keep simply rolling it all the way to the end. Now I strongly recommend pre-cutting the portion sizes you want before placing it in the oven, but it's completely up to you. I find that the pastry breaks a lot less. So cut up to as many desired pieces as you like, and then you're going to drench and absolutely soak your baklava in the remainder of your butter mixture. Now you're going to bake this in an oven that's been preheated at 200 degrees Celsius, and it's going to take approximately 20 to 25 minutes to cook it to this golden brown. Be sure to triple check that the bottom is cooked, because there's nothing worse than having a raw dough on the bottom. Now you're immediately going to take your cold syrup and pour that onto the hot baklava. Don't wait for anything to cool down. This baklava is not a dry, or should I say a crunchy sort of version of a baklava. It's a lot juicier, it's a lot softer, so you need the hot cold to work against each other. Now you'll need to allow this to soak for approximately 15 to 20 minutes, and it'll be more than ready to serve immediately. Now you can enjoy this warm and you can enjoy it cold. There's so many options, and of course with toppings, I've gone ahead and just done some crushed up pistachios. You can do walnuts, and if you do prefer a bit of a crunch, you can actually add walnuts in the apple mixture, some coarsely crushed walnuts for a bit more of a crunch. Enjoy!